Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video. And if I did comment you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please put repeat question and it will get moved to the top. And I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. And I also have to mention I'll be at Seattle Card Party this weekend, so definitely check out the Card Party YouTube page. They'll have a live stream. I will be on there. I think I have to host and interview some of the vendors on the floor. And then too, since I'll be in Seattle, I'm going to record 2 What If Wednesdays right now back to back. Normally, if you guys do not know, I get anywhere from 70 questions to 100 questions. I read every one, I screenshot them all, and then I delete 50 of them and get it down to about 20. So now this time I just got it down to about 40. And like I said, I'm just going to record 2 back to back. So please, if you guys have new questions, drop them down below. And then when I get back to town, I'll go in the last 2 What If Wednesdays, screenshot them all, and then I'll work from there. So just please bear with me these next couple weeks and just keep putting repeat questions, and I promise I will get to you. But before we get started, we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Collectr. This app is the best of the best when it comes to tracking your collection. No other app even compares. They're always trying to improve by adding new cards, boxes, and features, so let us know down below if you want them to add or fix anything. And they're doing a new thing now where they are actually donating booster packs to other creators and vendors and stuff to pass out to kids for free. So that way a lot of these kids can get some free packs. And they also do more giveaways than anybody in this hobby. So definitely check them out. I'll have all the links in the description. But all right, let's get to it. First question is from Zach Everett. I have been collecting for the better part of my life, like probably for most. It has gotten to the point where I can't justifiably open everything I buy. Because of limits, 1 blister pack, 1 4-pack collection box, whatever it is, I have a hard time feeling it's worth opening and just keeping everything sealed now. Any advice on how to still enjoy collecting without being able to open bukus of packs? So I've actually been a singles guy. Now I know there's a lot of people out there that say it's not even comparable, but I disagree. I actually like getting singles a lot more than opening packs. I've opened up a ton of packs, which makes me more of a singles guy because a lot of times you're just not going to get what you want to pull and you're going to waste a lot of money and you're going to get cards you might not be the biggest fan of. Yes, they're nice and you can appreciate them, but still, we work a third of our lives and I do not want to waste any money on stuff that I'm probably not collecting. So I've always been a singles guy. To me, there's no better feeling than finding a card that you really want or need to finish a collection. And, there's no good ones on eBay or TCG Play or anything like that. And you're waiting, you're patient. A month goes by, 2 months goes by, and one finally pops up. And it's just perfect. And you snag that card, and then you got the notification that it's in the mailbox. To me, that is just as exciting as getting any big pull, I swear. Or another great feeling, too, is buying a big collection where you can't really see everything in there. And then you go through it and you find some amazing cards that you needed for your collection, or some cards that are just super underrated that end up going crazy in value in the future, or whatever it is, or some minty cards that would grade a PSA 10 that you could sell or trade for cards that you need for your collection, or sealed products that you want to get for your collection. But yeah, it is tough out there right now for the people that want to rip open packs because everything is basically double the price of what it normally is. But then too, when you are buying singles, even let's say more modern stuff, there's a lot of decent cards out there for a good deal. Stellar Crown, the Tropical is $40. I think $30 is the cheapest that card has ever been. Dash Bun is still $30. That card's been the same the whole time. A lot of illustration rares are super cheap. So, maybe start a different collection or get a very specific collection to where you kind of have to buy singles, to where you couldn't even go buy a bunch of random packs to complete this collection. So maybe try that too. That'll help. Especially if you go anything a little bit older, you're definitely, not going to want to open up some packs. And another thing you can really get into that actually gets pretty addicting is getting your cards graded, like I mentioned. If you find some really nice cards, get them sent off. It's like Christmas when you get that box back. Looking through all those slabs, seeing all the PSA 8s, 9s, 10s, it can definitely end up pretty disappointing, but so can opening up booster packs. And this way you could potentially make a lot of money to where you could sell some of them and reinvest into some other steel products or buy some cards that you needed. So there's definitely some other options out there to where people can still enjoy the hobby. And the last thing I'm going to mention is you could start playing the TCG. That can definitely make you appreciate a lot of these cards, a lot of the commons, uncommons, trainers and stuff like that. So I would definitely look into that. They even got the app and they got Pokemon Pocket that kind of teaches you how to play It's a lot of fun once you get into it for sure. And like I said, it just makes you appreciate the other side of the hobby. And a lot of those cards for like the decks and stuff are pretty affordable. And that's what's nice about the game too. The cards do the same thing. If it's a basic EX, it does the same thing as a special illustration rare of that same Pokemon or whatever it is, to where you can build decks super cheap. And then if you get really into it, then you can go bling your decks out. But they do the same thing. So it's very, very affordable to play the Pokemon TCG still. And it's such a good option. And I did think of one more thing. If you guys do have kids that are getting into the hobby and they want to sit and rip open packs because they watch all the big PokeTubers sit and rip open packs, and maybe you guys can't find anything or you can't really afford it, a good option is going to card shows or card shops with them looking for specific cards. It's kind of like a scavenger hunt. Make a little list or maybe try to finish a little set or whatever it is, collect all the amazing rares or radiant rares or, illustration rares for a certain set, and then set a little budget. And it kind of teaches them to save money and be smart. And then it's fun. You can spend the whole day at a card show looking through all the binders, looking for specific cards. So that is definitely a good option. It kind of gets the whole family involved and it's still very affordable. But yeah, hopefully that helped a little bit. But yeah, that's like for me in this hobby, you never really hear me complain too much. The only thing I ever complain about is maybe TCG Player when it doesn't update or Pokedata when it doesn't have the info I need. I always try to find the positives in this hobby because I've been in the hobby my entire life. I've never quit. So yeah, I always just try to look for the positives. All right, next question is from @Float MCD. Hey Beard, after watching your Venusaur video, what would you value a CGC 10 Gem Mint Blackstar Promo 13? So that is tough. There's like no recent PSA 10 sales. We got a PSA 9 at $690, and then we do have a CGC 9 at $400. So definitely more than $690. It's tough when you have a card like that. The safest option is just waiting for someone else to sell that same card, or maybe a PSA 10 sale and then do a little bit less. Just try to get as close as you can to that PSA 10 sale as you can. But that's what I would do. It's kind of risky being the only one selling a certain card like that because you could potentially lose a decent amount of money. All right, next is from Kobe Dear Beard, thanks a ton for great content. I have an Umbreon VMAX that I pulled myself and it's really left heavy, and I'm considering trading it to this vendor for 2 Umbreon EX. What do you think about this? Will this be a good deal long term? That's pretty tough to say also because I do think the Umbreon VMAX is a lot more popular and it's such an expensive card to where I feel like 90% of the people who want that card, they don't care the centering at all. They just want to get it raw. So I don't think you'll ever have a problem moving that card. So we got the Umbreon EX here from Prismatic. Was at 15, got down to 839. Now last sold 1320, 1375, 1200. And then we have the Umbreon VMAX. So this got down to 979 was the year low at the very beginning of the year. Got up to 1700, back down to 1355. Now last sold 1999, 2520, 2080. So, if yours is pretty left heavy, you'd probably value it at around, 21, 2200 or whatever, to where the Umbreon right now is valued at about 1300. So you're making a little bit of money on the deal. And there is one thing that I do like about the deal is you're getting 2 cards for 1. So you have an option to sell one of these copies down the road and still have one. But I do think the Umbreon VMAX is more popular. That's why this is a really tough one. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Are the other 2 Umbreons maybe grade worthy? Because if you hit a 10 on one of those Umbreons, which you're not going to hit a 10 on the Umbreon VMAX, that definitely might be a great option. So that's definitely going to be a big factor also. So if one of them has PSA 10 potential, or maybe both of them, I'd probably do the trade. But it is riskier because the Umbreon EX, I think, has a lot more potential to drop down in price compared to the Umbreon VMAX. Because, Prismatic can still be printed for the next 2 years. If the market really cools off, this card could potentially be a $500-$600 card. You never know. It's technically possible compared to the Umbreon VMAX, which could still definitely go down in price, but we're not going to get a bunch of Evolving Skies reprints and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's tough because both cards are very tough to pull. Yeah, let me know down below what you guys think he should do. I wish I could see the pictures of the cards and everything too, because that does make a difference. All right, next question is from Sankudog. Question, is that Charizard VMAX Godzilla, is that exclusive to English? They also have it in Chinese. Yeah, right here, Chinese sealed promo. But I don't think it is in Japanese. I think the other 2 promos are in Japanese, but not this one. All right, next is from Jesse Taylor. We love collecting as well, but if something skyrockets in price, we would consider selling. What would be your strategy with the bubble Mew? So as you guys know, I do not like to sell my stuff, but when we're dealing with like the top card in an entire generation, this might be a solid card to hold on to because it could follow the Umbreon VMAX and stuff like that, because you never know what's going to happen in the future with this thing. It could technically go down in price if the market cools off, but if the market stays strong, Paldean Fates gets even older, this card could potentially go up in price even more. And let's say we get another Mew a couple years from now, that could make this card even go up more if we get a Mew set or something like that. So when it's a top card, I like to keep it. But all right, next question is from Matt. Super Stack Bros. Yo, Mega Beard. I got another good question. What are your thoughts on a buy low option, the Flying Surfing Pikachu VMAX Ultra Rares, full arts from Celebrations, unique arts, anniversary set, good chunk of chew, $5 into $20 seems realistic. No? Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of stuff for Celebrations could easily double still once we actually get to the 30th anniversary. All right, next question is from Edgar Orozco, a member. Apologize if I butchered that. I have 9 Pokemon Center Prismatic ETBs. Would it be a good idea for me to sell 3 for about $1,200 and then roll that over into 6 or 10 of Pokemon Center Phantasmal Flames ETBs, assuming they go in the secondary market for $120 to $200? I got 4 at retail and bought 5 at $200 each. I don't hate that plan at all. I think that'll be pretty solid. I don't think Phantasmal Flames will be $120 though. I could maybe see $200, and I am also purchasing them at $200 if they do get down that low, because it's a beautiful box, and I am literally obsessed with that Charizard special illustration rare, like no joke, and my wife is obsessed with the gold Charizard, so I'm a big fan of the set. And then I also love Heracross. I wish he would have got a special illustration rare, but then too, Sharpedo is also sick. Yeah, I definitely love that plan, especially if you could end up with 6 Prismatic Pokemon Center ETBs and 6 Phantasmal Flames Pokemon Center ETBs. Oh, that would be perfect. All right, next question is from Trav Poke Collector. I have a Sealed Dragon Majesty and XY Breakpoint ETB in my PC. Do you think it's worth selling and reinvesting into Pokemon Center ETBs? Thanks. So I do think the Pokemon Center ETBs are going to beat a lot of the older ETBs. A ton of them are already destroying them in price. So I feel like that'd be an okay thing to do, especially maybe if you can split it up into between getting like 2 different sets to where you don't put all your eggs in one basket, but you have a good amount to where you have options to sell a couple off in the future, stuff like that. You know, that might be a decent one. And then maybe if you are really attached to one of them, like let's say Dragon Majesty or something, just sell the Breakpoint one, keep your Dragon Majesty, and then that way you're, getting a little bit of both. You got a little bit of vintage. And one thing that is cool about having the vintage stuff is if you go look at 95% of the people's rooms in the hobby right now, all their cases look the same. It's all Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet era stuff. So it is kind of cool having something a little bit older that you do not see every day, even though it might not go up in value as fast as some of these Pokemon Center ETBs. But they are doing good. It's just that some of these new Pokemon Center ETBs are going crazy already. All right, next is from I'm going to butcher this, Clarique Olsen, maybe? Question, Dear Beard, thanks a ton for great content. I'm considering starting a small collection that I can hopefully share with my daughter when she gets older. I'm thinking Eevee and Evolutions since they feel like a safe bet. Being new to the hobby, I have no idea whether to go for slabs, raw, English, or Japanese. Japanese is cheaper, but do they make good investments as well? Also, living in Denmark, we don't have easy access to Pokemon Center stuff. Does it even make sense to buy the Eevee promos without the stamp? So if you are starting a collection for your daughter, I would definitely, first things first, get a top loader binder so that way she can enjoy the binder and carry it around and you don't have to worry about the cards getting destroyed. You could even get the smaller 4-pocket ones. And the Evolutions is a great one to start off with. I also recommend Gardevoir and Pikachu. Those are Mrs. Beard's favorites. But I would definitely do English raw if you can. It's going to be a lot safer than Japanese. And, getting slabs can definitely be risky. You could maybe get a slab or 2 here and there, just so she has a couple that you can display on a shelf or something, or maybe she can bring to school and show off. But yeah, definitely top loader binder, English raw, and then just every once in a while, if she has a favorite card, maybe get that PSA slab of that card. And then also stick with PSA 10s if you are going to buy modern slabs. It's just your safest bet to where, if you ever need to sell it in the future or trade it, it goes pretty easily. And then if you're talking about Pokemon Center stamp stuff, the other promos will do very good also. They just take a little bit longer to go up in price. So yeah, buying the Eevee non-stamp promo is totally fine for sure. And I will eventually make more videos where I show all the evolution cards. I did make a video on my Throwback Thursday. I even have a playlist where I go over the best Umbreon cards in Pokemon history. So you could check that out and see if there's any cards there that are pretty affordable that you might be able to pick up to start the collection off. But good luck. All right, next question is from @Sharkman. PokeBeard making PokeBread. How do you feel about PSA 9s? Just started grading my cards and a lot of moderns are coming back as 9s, which seem to mostly be close to the raw value. Will vendors buy these or really only 10s? Not sure what I should try to do with them. So to be honest, if it's not a super high value card, a lot of 9s are the same as raw. So vendors will probably just give you raw value prices, and a lot of them even crack it out of the slabs, or they use it for like those stupid mystery slab bags or, whatnot sells or whatever it is. So it is definitely tough to move modern PSA 9s for sure. That's why try to be a little bit pickier next time you grade some of your cards. So that way, hopefully you don't have as many 9s, paying to get all these cards graded and then they end up, the same value as from when you sent them out. That does definitely suck. But when we're talking like Bubble Mew and stuff, that's where like a 9 can get a little bit more value than the raw. Just because people like it, it's in a slab, it's a high value card. I've noticed a lot of 9s moving faster for the more expensive ones. All right, next is from @Jeremy Brown. Going to card shows seems like every vendor uses a different app. Why alt Collectr? Why not just use eBay when all the apps lag on sales? Thanks, would appreciate any info. Because the way eBay has it all laid out, it's not really quick and easy. And you kind of got to look through a lot of stuff. These other apps kind of simplify it and make it quicker. But I agree, I'm old school. I love looking at eBay sold listings. That's my bread and butter. That's what I've been doing for like 20 years now. So yeah, I definitely agree. But when we're in normal Pokemon times, all the apps are legit. It's just when the market is this crazy and we have cards moving up every single day, some are double, triple, buyouts constantly, then it's really tough for these apps to keep up. But for most of the time, they work totally fine. All right, next is from Matt. Oh man, we got some tough names today. Tony Biskeljalia. Hello, Sir Bearded Dragon. So I have a large seal collection, also graded in raw cards. I hate selling anything, but now I have a baby and a house to pay for. Question is, what's the best thing for me to sell to pay some bills off? Thanks, love your channel. So I would definitely sell the graded cards probably first. Some of the raw cards that are pretty hyped up also. Just make sure you keep like the few graded cards, because I don't know what you have, that you think has like good potential to go, off in the future. But seal is definitely your best option to hang on to, just because seal is so much safer and it, mostly goes up in price, a lot more steady than a lot of raw cards and graded cards, which constantly go up and down. But yeah, baby and house definitely come first. All right, next is from Future Trunks. Hey, Beard of Wisdom. I'm just getting back into Pokemon after a long time. Can things keep going the way they are? Like Destined Rivals is so expensive at the moment. I'm on a limited budget and it's so hard to find things at retail. Do you think when Phantasmal Flames releases, people will chill out with Destin and Prismatic, or will things stay high until after the 30th anniversary? I definitely think it's going to stay pretty hot until the 30th anniversary. I mean, I think the 30th anniversary is going to be insane, especially, our 25th anniversary was a lot of reprints and stuff. And now we're in the era of illustration rares and special illustration rares. So I have a feeling our 30th anniversary is going to be insane. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to do, because we don't get anniversary sets very often, once every 5 years. I was so stoked when Celebrations came out just to see all these old cards reprinted. A lot of cards that I used to collect and play with that I have, especially like the Umbreon Gold Star. That was mind blowing. That's such an expensive card. I'm talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But yeah, it's not going to cool off until we get some crappy sets. And I've seen some people, complain about Phantasmal Flames now. It is a very small set, and there really is only a few chase cards, but the chase cards are insane, to where I have a feeling it's just going to also be expensive. And Prismatic, there's so much value in the cards. That's going to stay probably pretty expensive. And then Destined Rivals, it's a Team Rocket set. So I don't really think it's going to slow down anytime soon. Next is from a member @Yachub. Hey Beard, I want to start vending, but I'm like you and I don't want to sell anything, but I helped my local card shop at a show this past weekend and it was a blast. So how do you decide what you actually want to sell? Don't have doubles of anything. Should I just pick up lots online then flip them? Yes. Buy a couple lots on eBay, buy a couple lots on Facebook Marketplace. And here's the thing. You can even buy a lot. Let's say you didn't get it for the best deal. And let's say you sell the cards and boxes and you don't really make a ton of money, but just getting yourself to the show and getting yourself in the position to where you can now buy good collections for good deals, because it's so much easier to buy collections at shows and stuff than it is on eBay or Facebook Marketplace these days, because the eBay auctions go sometimes way more than what the collection is even worth. And then Facebook Marketplace, everybody's so stubborn on their prices. It's tough to get anything even below 100% market on there sometimes. But yeah, that's what I do. I hate selling my stuff, so I'll just buy collections. And then when you buy those big collections, you can also, keep a box or two for yourself, keep a couple cards for yourself. So that way you're also growing your collection and you're getting inventory to start selling. That's why vending is like the cheat code when it comes to growing your collection, super fast. And last question is from @Steve Zangster. Sir Beard, Slot the Mighty, I'm getting back into the hobby. I've been going to card shows for the past few months and have a budget of $3K for the next one. I want to buy singles for now and get cards that I ultimately have missed out on since being out of the hobby. I plan on getting the Giratina V SIR, Lugia V SIR, Mewtwo SIR, etc. Question I have is, what is your opinion on buying the raw hits from sets for your long-term collection right now? So just to let you know, the cards from the Sword and Shield era, the cards that have the V, are called alternate arts, and the cards from the Scarlet and Violet era, the ones that have the EX, are called special illustration rares. And I am totally fine with buying raw cards, and sometimes it's a lot smarter. If I can buy 15 cards that I want compared to one graded card, I'm going to buy the 15 cards that I want raw, every time. And one good thing about getting raw cards is it has a potential to become a PSA 10 down the road if you get it graded. So I'm a big fan of raw. Just be careful of buying all of these crazy cards at their most expensive prices ever, because cards constantly go up and down. I know it seems like right now these cannot go down in price, but I promise you these cards can definitely go down in price if the market cools off. So maybe, don't go insane on all cards that are the most expensive they've been. Maybe invest in a few sealed products also. Start a little sealed collection, buy a couple cards that are a little bit cheaper that aren't so crazy, because it sucks buying, $3,000 worth of cards, and then 6 months from now, let's say it's worth like $1,500, which can definitely happen and has happened many, many times in this hobby. Even the Bubble Mew literally went to like $400 something, dropped down to $270 just in a couple months in the summer. Same with Pikachu, same with Greninja, and now they went way back up in price. But the most popular cards in the era just dropped $100 something not too long ago. Same thing with the illustration rares. $2 illustration rares went up to $20, $30, and now they're back down to, $3, $4, $5. So just try to be careful and maybe diversify a little bit. Sometimes they can be a lot safer. But yeah, I'm definitely a raw person for sure. I love filling up these binders, and the more cards I can get, the better. I only really get PSA 10 cards of like some Japanese exclusives because they grade so good. They're not that much more expensive than raw. And then some of my favorite cards I'll get graded too. But all right, that'll say it's Pokemon What If Wednesday. And like I said too, remember I'm recording another one back to back. So just please drop your questions. Even if you didn't hear it in this video, make sure you put repeat question again and drop it down below. And I promise I'll get to you. And then if you guys like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, and my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. And if you guys want to watch my last Pokemon Market Monday, which was an insane one, click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.